Well, a heated argument over a service dog inside a local restaurant could lead to a civil rights lawsuit.
The confrontation happened at Jim's Seafood in Frankfort. Kristen Edwards explains what happened and what all business owners need to know about the laws for service animals in this LEX 18 Investigates.
I'll have your server come collect your food and we'll go in this other room.
It's a confrontation Susanna Benassi never expected.
I felt like I wasn't being listened to, that my need for him didn't really matter, that it wasn't important. Let's go this way.
On May 7th, she says she was discriminated against at Jim's Seafood in Frankfort. She was there with her husband and service dog Dobby for dinner when she says she was asked to move tables after she had been served food. In a video she recorded, you can hear someone explain that Dobby is too close to the kitchen and that it's a violation of local health department rules. Benassi responds, saying asking her to move is a violation of her rights under the American Disabilities Act, and so is asking for paperwork for a service dog.
Do you have paperwork and all of that?
I was very stressed, but I was just trying to make sure that I remained calm because I really didn't want to escalate the situation. I wanted to be able to tell her what the law was and then hopefully be able to continue with our meal, because I do have issues occasionally with people not knowing the law.
And the law, according to ADA.gov, says people with disabilities can go into businesses that serve the public with a service dog. Benassi says this law couldn't be more important to her.
Oh, that was an alert. Good job.
That's because she has a disorder called functional neurological disorder. In a nutshell, she says her brain doesn't communicate well with her body when under stress.
You could have any kinds of symptoms. Some of my most common ones are dizziness, trouble hearing, trouble seeing, paralysis. It's temporary paralysis.
Diagnosed in 2012, it ruled her life for years. Then she got Dobby 4 years ago to help her manage the disorder.
My mom doesn't worry about me as much. And my husband too. I have a lot more independence.
Dobby keeps her calm to prevent episodes from happening.
If I'm having a bad week, I might have a couple in a week, but it used to be I would have 10 in a day.
He also helps her if one comes on.
He actually caught me from falling on concrete one time. He got my head.
And during our interview, we saw Dobby in action.
He alerted and now he's doing the pressure. Good job, thank you. It's something called deep pressure therapy. It's like a grounding technique. It's similar to like a weighted blanket that people can use. It has a similar effect.
She says she can't live without him, so that's why they were together at Jim's Seafood that day when she refused to move tables.
For viewers who are watching us who may think to themselves, why not just go into the other room? What do you have to say to them?
It makes you feel like you're not as important as other people. It really does.
Eventually, she gets up to leave when you can hear someone explain further about why she was asked to move.
If they have a dog allergy, they don't want to be walking by your dog.
A dog allergy?
We'll get to more on that in a minute. After the incident, Benassi hired a lawyer who says the law is on their side.
And she's allowed to be there, and so we have these. We have the ADA for a reason, and this is the prime example of that.
We also asked an independent legal expert about what the ADA says. Professor Laura Rothstein at the University of Louisville has been teaching and writing about disability discrimination law for about 40 years. She says under the ADA, there are regulations that spell out what is allowed. They say a service animal, which is usually a dog, must be trained to do work or perform a task for a person with a disability. She adds they don't need to be formally trained or have documentation. She says they are allowed in public accommodations like restaurants, bars, hotels, and theaters, with some caveats.
The person bringing the dog has to have that dog under control. The dog can't be loud or disruptive or biting. It can't be an obstruction.
As for allergies, ADA.gov says allergies and fear of dogs are not valid reasons for denying access or refusing service. In terms of asking someone to move because of allergies, Rothstein says the business and person with a service dog should work together on a solution.
And I would say, it should be negotiated kind of on a common sense basis. I would just say that's not going to come up that often, but it's a legitimate concern.
She also says there are only 2 questions a business can ask.
Do you have a disability for which the dog provides a service? And if the person says yes, but you can't ask what the disability is, but if the individual with the dog says yes, you can then ask what task is it trained to perform? And then the person has to be able to answer that.
Beyond that, no other questions can be asked. She also says people with disabilities cannot be asked to move away from others unless there's a legitimate concern about danger or disruption or other harm.
They're not supposed to be separated from everyone else unless there's some compelling reason, some safety reason to do that.
She didn't want to comment on Benassi's case, but in the video, the restaurant raised questions of safety, having Dobby too close to the kitchen. So we asked the Franklin County Health Department whether that was a violation. In an email, the public health director wrote, "Our understanding of ADA is that the only exception to a service animal being at a particular seat, whether or not near the kitchen, is if the animal creates a hazard by impeding a walkway for other customers or staff. Service animals are also not allowed on tables or in chairs at restaurants." Benassi said Dobby was not in a walkway. We went to Jim's Seafood to get their perspective on what happened. The manager told us to contact their lawyer, who told us no comment. Benassi and her lawyer are discussing how they would like to move forward.
Your puppy.
In the meantime, she wants to spread awareness. And according to the Kentucky Protection and Advocacy Division, which is an independent state agency, overall awareness about disability discrimination law is needed since similar situations are relatively common. Over the past 8 months, they've represented 215 people in disability discrimination cases. 1 involved a service dog, and they offered legal advice to 3 others involving service dogs. They also say to keep in mind that these are only the cases that they take on. There are likely many more instances of possible discrimination, including those that go unreported.
I don't want this to happen to anybody else. I want people to be able to go and enjoy a dinner and feel just as important as able-bodied people.
Kristen Edwards,
Good job!
LEX 18 News.